Let's talk about what happens when we have a failure of the admin node. The admin node, remember, is the brains of the operation. So what services are impacted from a failure perspective? Radius authentication. Generally, and I'm saying generally, this is like 99.9% of the times, Radius should continue to function. Those PSNs are standalone, they answer their own request. The only dependency they have on the admin node is being able to replicate the database and the session information back out across the system. But generally, Radius authentications will still continue to function. Guests. Because when we get guests on the system, we're creating new endpoints for those guests. We may or may not be creating users. That functionality, if the PAN is down, will not be available because it obviously cannot write new information to the database. The profiler. The profiling service actually runs as a subservice on the PSNs. So this service will still be available should the primary admin node fail. Device registration. This one's also not going to work. Why? Because again, he needs to write information to the database. If the database is not available, he can't write information to it, therefore the service will not work. BYOD and native supplicant provisioning. These also won't work because of the same reason as the device registration. They need to write information to the database and pull information down, which they cannot do if the database is not available. MDM connectivity. Because I can't get updated attributes from the MDM if the policy admin node has failed, these will not work either. Certificate services. These won't work either because the certificate services are dependent on the database for things like certificate services and OCSP that automatically provision the certificates and again write things to the database. It will still continue to function from a replicated perspective, meaning if I'm just referencing certificate information, because it will have the latest copy of the replicated database, but any new certificates will not be able to be issued because the database is not available. PX Grid. This will not be available either. Sessions that are established will continue to function and continue to receive updates because this is actually a service that runs as a subservice on the PSN. But any new subscriptions that require the database to replicate those subscriptions throughout the environment will not be available because the database is not available. And TACACS, very similar to Radius, TACACS runs as a service on the PSNs. The PSNs are standalone, therefore TACACS responses will be replied to just like they are normally, whether the policy admin node is available or not. Let's talk about licensing a little bit. There are basically 4 types of licenses in an ISE system. The one you're going to hear about most is base. This is basically gives us our basic authentication or our Radius functionality. Guest services are also provided as well as Cisco Trust Set capability. So this is basically, again, our Radius services and our Trust Set capability and basic guests. Device admin. This is our TACACS service. So when we authorize to network devices and we control that administration, this is our device admin license. Plus is where you're going to start seeing things come in like profiling. I can actually profile with base, but if I want to use any of those attributes in a policy, I have to have plus licensing. Plus licensing also adds things like the certificate authority and BYOD functionality, as well as context sharing with PX Grid, and our adaptive network control service, which is basically the ability to change the authorization of a session based on an external event, whether it be an IPS event, a network traffic event. We can actually have that system tell ISE, hey, I've seen something happen, do something different with that session. That is what our adaptive network control is. Last but not least, there's Apex. Apex comes in 2 forms. There is an ISE Apex and an AnyConnect Apex. From the ISE perspective, I need Apex if I'm going to do endpoint compliance or posture. I also need Apex if I'm going to do MDM or EMM integration. If I'm doing ISE posture and I also want to use the posture agent on an endpoint, that's going to require an AnyConnect Apex licenses. When we talk about licensing, there's a couple key differences between 2.3 and 2.4 and above that you need to be aware of. The device admin license, that has changed slightly. The device admin license used to be 1 device admin license per ISE cube. So if I had 3 servers running TACACS, 4 servers running TACACS, I needed 1 device admin license. Now I need a device admin license per server running the service. So if I have 3 servers running TACACS, I need 3 device licenses. There's no difference between Plus and Apex licensing. Those were subscription-based, and they are still subscription-based today. The only other thing to note is there is now a VM license. It used to be a single VM license that you would buy, and it wasn't really tracked in the system. Now, with 2.4 and 2.6, there are small, medium, large, and extra large VM licenses that you need to apply that need to be installed and will be tracked as part of the deployment as well. When we talk about performance and scale, there's a couple really good reference sites that you should reference or you should look at. The performance and scale document, this is continually updated and has all the latest information on anything you could want from scaling out your ISE system to understanding how you need to design it. Very good document. I recommend you read this. Also, the ISE community in general is one of the best things Cisco has done in a long time. If you guys have been around Cisco for a while, you know it's really kind of difficult to find things on their website to reference from time to time. This ISE community page is monitored by internal Cisco employees, and it's actually got members from the community as well too. And there is a wealth of information from configuring specific components, whether it be network access devices, whether they be Cisco or third party, whether it be threat management systems. All this information is available on the Cisco community, so please, please reference these. That brings us to the end of this lesson. Hopefully we've given you a good understanding of the different deployment options, the different services that the servers play in an ISE deployment, and you've got a good foundation for moving forward with the rest of this course. Thank you.